custody, DOC custody, so there's no bond.
Okay, so there's no way that I could go back to DOC and just back and forth?
I'm sorry, that's, I believe that there was an order for you to be transported here, and that's what the order says, is that you remain here until your matter is resolved.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Jones, if you'll please come into the... Oh, sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Stephen Ray Jones, 12/30/78.
Thank you. You are here today because a violation of probation was submitted. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. You do have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 11th at 8:30. Because you were transported here from DOC, you will remain here until this matter is resolved. Once this matter is completed, you will return to DOC custody. That takes care of everything that we can do here today. If you will step to the left of the officer room.
All right, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
This probation violation was dismissed. I don't know why I'm back in court for it. I've been in DOC the whole time.
I don't know what information the court considered in making what I note in the violation of probation petition, and the bond in it was very high. But then
It was $3,000.
no, it was $10,000.
$10,000.
Mm-hmm. And then an order was issued securing your appearance that stated that you will remain here until this matter is completed.
All right.
Okay. Mr. McMurdy, if you will please come into the courtroom, and Mr. Contreras, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Hello, sir. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Sean McCurdy, May 20th, 1970.
Thank you. You are here because you have 2 warrants out of county, and then you have a violation of probation. So I'm going to first discuss your violation of probation. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. You do have a probation application possible disposition hearing on February at 8:30. There's a appearance in the amount of $250. Then for your warrant out of Yavapai County, I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. That warrant had, you do have an arraignment hearing on February 7th at 8:30. That warrant had a secured appearance bond in the amount of $2,500. And then for your warrant out of Pinal County, you are not eligible for bond on that warrant due to the nature of the violation of probation per the warrant. So you will have a hearing for that matter on February 7th.
So can I combine all these together?
These are different courts.
I know they are, but is there any way that they can combine this stuff?
I don't do, I'm not in charge of that. I just find out where things are.
Okay.
And so in each court, you have matters that you have to take care of in their court, in their jurisdiction.
Okay.
So you have to resolve them in those
Yeah.
jurisdictions, okay? So that takes care of everything that we have to do. I will just caution you against paying any bond until you get your matter. I believe it's in Pinal County resolved, since you are not, in Pinal County, since you're not bondable on that one. It's not, there's no point in paying bond because you probably would not get released.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Contreras, if you will please come into the courtroom, and Mr. Highland, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Jose Antonio Contreras, February 19th, 1989.
You were here on a new case. You were charged with 1 count of possession of a weapon by a prohibited person, aggravated assault or in violation of an order of protection, a Class 6 felony, and disobeying or resisting an order or mandate of the court, a Class 1 misdemeanor. I did find probable cause as to all 3 counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You will have a status conference hearing on February 10th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 13th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $25,000. If you are able to post bond, you cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime. You cannot initiate any contact with the alleged victims. I have to fix this order. It's supposed to be police officers, and I clicked the wrong one. You cannot possess any weapons. You must obey any orders or protections or order against harassment that have been issued. You cannot contact the victim for any reason. You are cautioned that if you violate the no victim contact order in this case, you could be charged with aggravated harassment, which is a Class 6 felony. Also, please be advised that if you fail to comply with your release conditions or if you fail to appear for your court date, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. You will forfeit the bond that is already, whatever bond you posted, and you probably would be subject to another bond.
Yes, you.
So that takes care of everything that we have to do here this evening. If you'll step to the left, the officer will give you, actually just go back and hold it, because that is fix your order. They'll bring it into you once it's ready.
All right, can I just have one question? Is there any way that I could get a bond reduction? Because I do plan on bonding out because of like work and things like that. But, I mean, it's just,
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you that the reason why, how you understand how I came to the determination of setting your bond is that I looked at history, the nature of the offense, and safety to the community and or the victims. And I thought of probable cause that you violated an order of protection. And within that, an aggravated assault occurred. That's what I made a probable cause finding of. So I believe that a $25,000 secured appearance bond is appropriate to make sure the community remains safe. And also I believe that you will follow the release conditions if you are able to post bond by staying away from the victim.
of course. Also that's, I can go through a bondsman and right for
I
that?
believe they have all that information back
Okay.
there.
Cool, thank you.
Mr. Highland, if you'll please come into the courtroom, and Ms. Botts, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, sir. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Christopher Highland, September 2nd, 1968.
Sir, you are here today on a new case. You were charged with one count of abuse of a vulnerable adult, a Class 2 felony.
It's a felony?
So you should probably let me finish talking.
I'm sorry.
I did find probable cause as to that offense. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on February 10th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 13th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $25,000. If you are able to post bond, you will be on electronic monitoring. You cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime. You cannot initiate any contact with the alleged victim. You cannot possess any weapons. You are prohibited from any ongoing caregiving. You cannot reside with the victim. Even if you are the owner or renter of the residence, you are permitted one civil standby with law enforcement to allow you to retrieve your belongings. If you violate the no victim contact order in this case, you could be charged with aggravated harassment, which is a Class 6 felony. So I know that you have some feelings or thoughts, and I would just caution you against talking about your case. I appointed an attorney to represent you. Your attorney will explain the charging and how it was charged and the designated class of the crime. If you want to ask me about your release conditions, I'm happy to answer questions about that, but I can't get in, like, give you legal advice or anything like that, or talk about the facts of your.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
At anything that I said you did not hear?
After release?
$25,000. If you are able to post bond, you'll be released to pretrial services, which would include electronic monitoring. You cannot return to the scene of the alleged crime, and you cannot have any contact with the alleged victim. You cannot have any weapons, and you have to. You are prohibited from any ongoing caregiving to the victim. You can't have any contact with the victim for any reason, and you cannot reside in the same location as the victim. Even if you are the owner or renter of the residence, you are permitted one civil standby with law enforcement to assist you in retrieving your essential belongings. If you violate the no contact order in this case, you could be charged with aggravated harassment, which is a Class 6 felony. Did you hear all that? Okay.
Yeah.
So please be advised that if you post bond, you do have to follow all of those release conditions, and you do need to show up for your court date. If you violate your release conditions or you miss your court date, posted will be voided or be issued for your arrest and you to another to your paperwork.
But can I ask a question? So we live together. Do I have to move?
Yes. You cannot stay in the house with the victim. Ms. Clevitz, if you will please come into the courtroom, and Mr. Dover, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Hello, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Kimberly Clevitz, 71102.
You are here for two matters. I believe they are both violations of, one is a violation of probation and the other one is a direct complaint. I will talk to you first about your new case. You were charged with 2 counts of organized retail theft, a class 4 felony alleged to have occurred on January 25th of 2024 and February 5th, 2024. Another count of organized retail theft, a class 4 felony alleged to have occurred on April 21st of 2024. Another count of organized retail theft, a class 4 felony alleged to have occurred on June 21st of 2024. And another count of organized retail theft, a class 4 felony alleged to have occurred on June 24th of 2024. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. You have a status conference hearing on February 10th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 13th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond per the direct complaint of $5,000. If you are able to post bond, you would need to contact your probation officer within 72 hours of your release. Then you have a violation of probation. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in that matter. You have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 11th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $1,000. Please be advised that if you're able to post bond, you need to attend all of your court dates. If you fail to appear, any bond posted will be forfeited. A warrant will be issued for your arrest and you would be subject to bond again. That takes care of everything that we can do here this evening. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Mr. Dover, if you will please come into the courtroom, and Mr. Evans, if you will please have a seat in the chair. Sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
My first name is Sean, last name is Dover, date of birth is 6/21/1971.
You are here today for a new case. You were charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, a class 3 felony, 1 count of discharging a firearm within a city limit, a class 6 felony, and 1 count of disorderly conduct involving a weapon, a class 6 felony. I did find, and the date of those offenses is January 30th of 2025. I did find probable cause as to all of those counts. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a status conference hearing on February 10th at 8:30 and a preliminary hearing on February 13th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $30,000. If you are able to post bond, you will be released to pretrial services on electronic monitoring. You cannot initiate any contact with the alleged victim. You cannot possess any weapons. You must obey any terms of orders of protection or harassment that are issued. You cannot have any contact with any of the victims for any reason. If you violate the no victim contact order in this case, that would constitute aggravated assault, and you could be charged with aggravated harassment, which is a class 6 felony. Please be advised that if you are able to post bond, you need to comply with all your release conditions. You need to appear for all your court dates. If you fail to appear, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Any bond posted will be forfeited, and you'll be subject to bond again. That takes care of everything that we can do here today. You will step to your left. The officer will give you a paper.
I have anything.
Mr. Evans, if you will please come into the courtroom, and Mr. Montillo, will you please have a seat in the chair? Now, sir, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Ryan Evans, April 12th of 1977.
You are here for a violation of probation. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 11th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $1,500. If you are able to post bond, it is important that you appear for your court date. If you fail to appear, any bond posted will be forfeited, a warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you'll be subject to bond again.
I called the PO to get this taken care of, so you said the 11th, will that be on the paperwork that I'm given? Excellent, all right, thank you. We good?
We're good.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Montijo, if you'll please come into the courtroom, and Ms. Nelson, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Yes, my name is Jose. Go, Jose, I'm sorry.
You have a warrant that was issued when you failed to appear for a court date. An attorney has already been appointed to represent you. You have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 11th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $1,000. And then your next matter, you have a warrant out of Goodyear Municipal Court. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in that matter. You have an arraignment hearing on February 12th at 8:30 for that matter. I did give you a secured appearance bond in the amount of $50. It's just a placeholder bond since you may be held on your probation matter, just to make sure you get transported for that hearing. If you're able to post bond for your matters, it is important that you appear for all your court dates. If you fail to appear, a warrant could be issued for your arrest. Any bond posted will be forfeited, and you would be subject to another bond. That takes care of everything that we can do here this evening. If you'll step to your left, officer will give you your paperwork for both matters.
Okay.
Ms. Nelson, will you please come to the podium? And Ms. Harson, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, ma'am. Can you please state your first last name and your date of birth?
Yes, Alberta Nelson, 52981.
Okay. You're here for 3 violations of probation. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in all 3 matters. You will have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 11th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond on one of the violations in the amount of $1,500 and $750 and $750. So between the two, between the 3, I did not do my math before I came in here.
I didn't even know that I was on probation.
So you have a total amount, I believe it's $4,000 of secured appearance bond. Ma'am, I'm not sure why you would not know that you were on probation on 3 matters, especially since one of the cases is from last year. And that might be one of the reasons why you are in violation. So I would make sure that if you're able to post bond, that you show up to your court date. If you fail to appear, any bond posted would be forfeited. Another warrant would be issued for your arrest, and you'd be subject to bond again. And I would just recommend, if you are able to be released, that you contact the probation office as well, so you can find out what's going on with you.
Okay.
So if you'll step to the left, officer will give you your paperwork for these matters. Ms. Harson, will you please come into the courtroom? And Ms. Rowe, will you please have a seat in the chair?
She might be hard of hearing.
Okay, we have this.
I'm hard of hearing.
Okay, so we have the devices to help her here. Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Okay, are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Noelle Marie Hartune, my date of birth is 12/21/93.
Thank you. You are here because you have two warrants that are out of county. One is for Apache Junction Municipal Court. Actually, they're both for Apache Junction Municipal Court. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in both matters. You will have an arraignment hearing on February 7th at 8:30. One of your warrants has a secured appearance bond in the amount of $1,000. The other one has a secured appearance bond in the amount of $345. So your total secured appearance bond is $1,345. If you're able to post bond, you do need to make sure that you attend your court date. If you fail to appear, any bond posted will be forfeited. Another warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you would be subject to bond again, okay?
Okay.
So if you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork for both matters.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Rowe, if you will please come to the podium, and Ms. Twyford, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, ma'am. Can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Nicole Rowe.
Okay. And your date of birth?
3/28/1970.
You are here today because you have 2 violations of probation. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in both matters. You will have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 11th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $250 in one matter and $500 in the other. So your total secured appearance bond is $800. If you are able to post bond, it is important that you appear for your court date. If you fail to appear, you post it before a warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you would be subject to bond again. And everything we do here this evening, if you will step to your officer, will give you your paper. Ms. Twyford, if you'll please come to him, and Mr. Conde, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Samantha Twyford, February 13, 2003.
You are here because you have a warrant out of Pure. Have a attorney has already been appointed to represent you in that matter. You have a status conference hearing on February 14th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $500. If you are able to post bond, you do need to make sure that you appear for your hearing. If you fail to appear, any bond posted will be forfeited. A warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you'll be subject to bond again. For your warrant out of Peoria Municipal Court, I appointed an attorney to represent you in that matter. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $50. It is a placeholder bond, essentially, because you're being held in the other matter, just to make sure you will get transported to court for that case too. If you're able to post your bond for both matters, again, show up to court. If you fail to appear, your bond will be forfeited, a warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you'll be subject to bond again. So that takes care of everything that we have to do here today. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork regarding both matters.
Wait, we're going to court, sorry, my court date, on the 8th.
All your paperwork has the court. I'm not understanding your question.
I had one, it was on the 8th.
Are you talking about something that happened outside of court?
Yeah, I was like, this is my next court date, I had it in 4 days.
So they will know that you have other court dates, and you'll get transported to those court dates if you have other matters. Hello, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Juan Conde, 07/07/05.
You are here today for a violation of probation. I did appoint an attorney to represent you. You have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 11th at 8:30. You have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $100. If you are able to post your bond, you do need to make sure that you appear for your court date. If you fail to appear, any bond posted will be forfeited, a warrant will be issued, and you'll be subject to bond again, and probably more than $100. So that takes care of everything that we need to do here today. If you will step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork. Mr. Kex, if you will please come into the courtroom, and Mr. Troffler, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
My name is Tommy Kokas, and my date of birth is 4/10/93.
You are here today because you have a violation of probation. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in this matter. You do have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 11th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $750. If you're able to post bond, it is important that you appear for your court date. If you fail to appear, any bond posted will be forfeited, or warrant will be issued for your arrest, and you'd be subject to bond again. That takes care of everything that we can do here today. If you'll step to your left, officer will give you your paperwork. Mr. Trostler, if you'll please come into the courtroom, and Mr. Diaz, if you'll please have a seat in the chair. Hello, can you state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Trey Troffler, August 16, 1992.
You are here today because you have 2 violations of probation. I did appoint an attorney to represent you in both matters. You do have a probation revocation possible disposition hearing on February 11th at 8:30. You do have a secured appearance bond in the amount of $500 per case, so your total secured appearance bond is $1,000. If you are able to post bond, you need to make sure that you appear for your court date. If you fail to appear for your court date, any bond posted would be forfeited, a warrant would be issued for your arrest, and you'd be subject to bond again. So that takes care of everything that we can do here this evening. If you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Diaz? So, Mr. Diaz, can you please state your first and last name and your date of birth?
Ernesto Diaz, 10/18/80.
Thank you. Two counts of aggravated driving or actual physical control while under the influence of intoxicating liquor or drugs, alleged to have occurred on August 19th of 2021. Also alleged to have occurred on 1921. Hearing on February 19th at 8:30, and a preliminary hearing on February 21st at 8:30. I'm inclined to release you to pretrial services. Without imposing a bond, you do have to promise to appear for your court date. Do you promise to appear?
Yes, ma'am. Just one thing on that. I thought I came to court and I thought I finished everything. I even did classes. I got my driver's license back for all that stuff. Is that not? Did I not complete any of that? I mean, like, I don't know what.
So it looks like this was a direct complaint that was filed on April 24th of 2023. They tried to mail it to you, but it came back in return as returned mail. So that's why a warrant was there.
You said it was for the 2023 one or the 2021?
So I'm telling you when the petition was filed.
Okay.
So you're asking the question, I'm explaining why it's so late.
I got you.
So you never received it. According to the docket, the petition was filed, or the direct complaint was filed on April 24th. They sent it out to you on April 24th. It came back as returned mail. So whatever address they had at the time, whenever anything happened, maybe your address changed. So you've never appeared on this case. So I don't know if you have something else in another court, in municipal court, but you're now in Superior Court.
Got you.
So anyways, let me finish. I'm releasing you to pretrial services, which will require you to participate in alcohol testing and monitoring. You have to cooperate with release conditions, and you have to appear for your court dates. If you fail to comply with them, do you understand? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you'll step to your left, the officer will give you your paperwork.
Thank you.
This concludes the 8 p.m. initial appearance calendar. We stand in recess until 11 p.m.